What's up, Buttercups? Welcome to Mean Age Daydream with me, your bald, beautiful host, Brian McWilliams. On a little bit of a shorter show today, I am flying out this morning for a trip. And of course, I'm now just frantically trying to get everything done that needs to be done today. So excuse me, but this will be a shorter episode. I'm just going to focus on one topic, which is this ridiculous story that I read in the Atlantic, which is on how many kids are identifying as having a disability. And by the way, I still can't figure out why StreamYard is putting me in a square box. Can't figure it out. Went through the settings. None of it seems to make any sense. I don't get it. Thanks, StreamYard. But by the way, thank you to those of you out there that have ordered Woke Word Wars. Woke Word Wars, my new game that is on Amazon. It's fantastic. It's fun. It's much better than Cards Against Humanity. It's got 100 more cards, vastly better gameplay, and of course, Trump cards in there. It's a great time, great gift. Buy one for you, buy one for your entire family. It's on Amazon. Woke Word Wars. Guys, so let's jump into it because I don't have much time here. This story in the Atlantic is insane. So it is written about, now the headline's a little bit misleading. It's called Accommodation Nation. America's college have an extra time on tests problem. Now, that is a headline that buries the lead because this story really lays out just how insane this entire, student system, in which like 50% of the kids are identifying as having some sort of mental disability, right? And this kind of goes into the broader context of what's going on within liberal America, where if you guys have kept up with the stats on that, the people in therapy, the people that identify as having some sort of mental disability, some sort of, ADHD, depression, anxiety, all on the left. Like 90% is on the left. These are self-inflicted problems. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing, without a doubt. All of this, climate anxiety, that is a self-inflicted wound on your mental state, and it all is all stemming from the world in which you immerse yourself, right? These liberal bubbles of thought in which everything's bad, in which white extremists and white supremacy is somehow the greatest threat to America, in which your climate is going to kill the earth within 12 years, in which there's no point in having children, in which the patriarchy rules everything. Like all of these nonsense myths that these people buy hook, line, and sinker because it's, number one, profitable for people to push these lies. And number two, it benefits those in power to keep you weak, afraid, confused, and riddled with anxiety and hatred for your neighbors. So getting back to the main concept here, though, within this Atlantic story, it's positioned that the problem is that the extra time on tests is becoming an issue for universities, aka students are given extra time to complete exams because they have mental health or some sort of disability. Let's just say that. Now, in the image I used for this episode, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, I had put a youth in a Harvard sweatshirt with cuckoo birds swinging around his head in a wheelchair. Now, that's tongue-in-cheek because what we're talking about here is not kids in wheelchairs. What we're talking about here is not people that have what you and I would think about as a disability, a legitimate disability, something that is a physical disability that has to be overcome, that maybe they have a hard time getting around, getting to class, a disability like having been in an accident where you do have an impinged ability to think, at least on, in a regular fashion or with the regular speed of another person. Now, you could also argue that, well, if you had some sort of disability that was mental like that, be it from an accident or something else, I'm sorry, you still probably shouldn't be at Harvard unless you can really show people that your ability to think cognitively is not impacted. Probably somebody else should be taking that test anyway. But the Americans with Disabilities Act, which has caused so much strife, it's another one of those things for a libertarian that most people will defend it tooth and nail and say, we had to have this. Never mind the amount of fraud, abuse, frivolous lawsuits. I mean, the Americans with Disability Act basically made it so that shysters out there can sue small businesses because they don't have wheelchair accessible bathrooms or wheelchair accessible ramps or entryways when it's a tiny mom and pop shop. They'll sue them basically just to extort cash out of these companies and these businesses. And this is even people that put in the wheelchair ramps, right? They're the ones doing the suing. So it has been abused time and time again. But the version we're talking about here that's being abused actually falls on the mental health side. With that, and I'm trying to scroll this article to figure out what is the exact. So it's the Americans with Disabilities Act. The AHED, the Association on Higher Education and Disability, AHED. You love that, just like when they name things and when they pass bills, like the Affordable Care Act, for instance, never is. So AHED, this organization, they are an organization of disability services staff, right? So they've got an intrinsic interest in this. Released guidelines urging universities to give greater weight to students' own accounts of how their disability affected them rather than relying solely on medical diagnosis. Here's what they say. Requiring extensive medical and scientific evidence perpetuates a deviant model of disability, undervalues the individual's history and experience with disability, and is inappropriate and burdensome under the revised statute and regulations. Now, every one of these people that is in this AHED association has a stupid sign in their front yard saying, in this house, we believe in science, we believe in medicine, and yet they are telling you, ignore science, ignore medicine. You should not be basing your understanding of a disability or your strata of how you treat people with disabilities based on medical or scientific opinion or evidence. No, you got to go with the feels of the students. The feels of the kids are now what universities are using to guide themselves on how to treat or actually how to qualify kids as having disability. Now, what do you think happens when you allow kids to self-identify? It's in the exact same way that they can self-identify like Elizabeth Warren as having some sort of ancestry that gives them a leg up in getting into programs, getting acceptance. Well, you're going to see abuse. You're going to see fraud. Jack Jones, alpha male. Good comment. Exactly. 40%. I would have thought it was closer to 90% mentally disabled in these universities too. Well, the joke I made on Twitter was that usually you have to graduate from these top universities in order to be considered mentally disabled, but they're getting a head start with 40%. So anyway, you can self-identify as disabled. So what do you think is going to happen? If you have all these kids coming in, and this is like 38% of Stanford's, which is unbelievably difficult to get into. Stanford, almost 40% of kids are identifying as disabled because they get extra time. They get a leg up, which is ironic, of course, when we're talking about people with disabilities. But we're not talking about physical disabilities here. We're talking about kids who want to take advantage of the system and probably who are pressured by their parents into taking advantage of the system. The same exact parents that will trans their kids at an unsustainably high rate, Hollywood celebrity transing rates, right? Where 80% of the kids are somehow trans when less than 1% of the population of the earth is trans. Similarly, this generation of parents has raised kids which are over-medicated, over-prescribed, over-diagnosed because these parents don't want to be parents. They don't want to get off their phones. They don't want to get off their fucking asses. They don't want to spend time with their kids. They get frustrated when their kids won't learn and they have to sit and do their homework with them. And trust me, it's frustrating. I have two little kids trying to get them to do their damn homework. And for whatever reason, I don't remember ever getting homework in kindergarten, but we've got a 15-page packet that takes us forever to do when you're trying to just get these kids fed and clothed and bathed and, impossible to do. But we do it because we're parents and they need to learn. These parents now go, God, this kid just won't stay still. Better dose them up with something. But even beyond that, beyond the parents and the intrinsic self-interest that lies now, knowing that having a quote-unquote disability gives you an advantage and victimhood points, if the kids can self-diagnose, If they can know, they get extra time for testing. They get a special little room where they can cover their ears and listen to soothing music or whale sounds or whatever the fuck, lobster farts, whatever they want to listen to. Why would you not? And the thing is, you're not allowed to question it. Not allowed to question it. You can't dare impinge someone's reputation by questioning whether or not they're taking advantage of the system. And per the guidelines of AHEAD, you're not permitted to do that. You're not supposed to do it. In fact, it's an assault on their experience as a disabled person to even ask if they have some sort of medical diagnosis to back up their statement that they're disabled before you allocate them extra time, extra space, retakes and all this other shit. In this article, they're talking about how they used to have a couple classrooms designated for this extra time for people that had disabilities. And now they are so packed, they're so overflowingly full that the teachers have trouble finding space to teach the actual tests or to take the tests because they can't take them in the big room, the lecture halls like they used to be, because they have a mental disability. It's fucking ridiculous. The coddling of these kids is creating more and more just generations that are coming out. I mean, ask any employer that's trying to hire anyone that's Gen Z right now. They'll tell you, I saw some sign on Twitter. They had no cashiers because these cashiers wanted their boyfriends to stay in the store and stand next to them the whole time because they're such fragile little flowers. They can't be alone. This is the generation that this kind of shit is indoctrinating. You wonder why all these kids coming up have such terrible opinions. They have zero critical thinking. They're so delicate. They can't deal with the real world. It's because their parents coddled them. They over-medicate them. They overdiagnose them. They go to college and they're told that they're special, beautiful little snowflakes, that they don't have to hack it. And there's every single effort made to make this easy, straight shot, no challenges, no leaps to overcome, no hurdles, just push them through, get them through the indoctrination centers, and make happy, stupid, worthless little voters that are now coming out and finding that they don't have a job, that their degrees are worthless, and that, guess what? Being catered to and being coddled and given extra time and being told that your inability to get out of your own fucking way mentally is a disability and not something that you could overcome with a little bit of hard work and putting your shit together and just saying, you know what, toughen up, buttercup. Bringing them out in the world ain't working out. And now people are finally starting to wake up, where this other stat I found, 2/3 of parents in America, at least these are probably parents of my generation, right? Seeing these assholes come out and go to college and waste everything, waste all this money. 2/3 of parents now are saying 4-year degrees, not worth it. I know I 1000% think that. If my kids can go or want to go into a trade, I have 2 little girls. If they want to go to a trade, awesome. Please do that. I will encourage it. My father-in-law just got Mariner of the Year. He is a pilot that brings the massive ships into the ports here in Los Angeles. Spent his whole career piloting ships, captaining ships all over the world. He is Mariner of the Year. Just won this award. Fantastic honor. My sister-in-law just graduated from the Cal Maritime Academy. She's going to come out with no real work experience. I mean, obviously she's trained on the boat, but with little or no real, work experience, she can walk into a job for $150,000 immediately. Are you getting that with your degree in Black lesbian Eskimo studies? No, I don't think so. And unlike these programs, she was not coddled. She was out there on boats, lifting stuff, learning how to navigate, learning the charts, learning the dangers, out there toughing it, becoming a bad bitch. She is prepared for the world. People are reevaluating, and this is a course correction that had to happen, and it is perpetuated by asshole universities doing this shit, by this overabundance of free credit, which of course saddles you with a lifetime of debt. If you know anything about what's going on with the student loan system, how corrupt it is once the government got involved and started pushing this dog shit on people that didn't need it, that shouldn't go to college. And no, everyone shouldn't go to college. Absolutely not. So this is a fantastic, righteous, and well-deserved course correction that's forthcoming here. This kind of abuse of the system is exactly what had to happen. It's the boiling frog is what's been going on the last 30, 40, 50 years in this country. And similar to the cancel culture, you had to have that moment where everybody went, this has just gotten insane. It has to be a lightning strike of holy shit, similar with what's happening with these Muslims immigrating all over. I talked about this last episode with these crazy Islamists that are now marching on these Christmas marketplaces in places like Austria, which I was going to take my family to Austria because they have beautiful Christmas marketplaces. Guess what? Now, Islamist mass migration, fucks are marching through, disrupting this stuff, setting off flares, intimidating people at the marketplaces. You can't have this. It can't stand. You got to stop it. You got to deport him. You can't let this happen. And I'll tell you this. People say, well, you use your freedom to protest. There should, number one, that's an asshole move. They are not compatible with your culture. And number two, if it was reversed, if these people were having a ceremony for whatever it is, and you came in there and tried to protest, you would be met with violent and immediate retribution. These people are taking advantage of the suicidal empathy. They're taking advantage of the pussification of Western culture and Western society, and it has to stop. We're seeing that moment, just like I was talking about before. The boiling frog was, oh, no, migration's great, diversity is great, a list of coming, not realizing that these people are importing hundreds of thousands into every country. Not compatible. You have to have a culture. For liberty to exist, you have to have a culture that believes in freedom. And I'm sorry, these cultures that are coming in do not. They do not. Now, briefly, I'll touch on Venezuela, and I'll do more on this next week when I have more time, and we'll see what develops. But speaking of, not having compatible cultures, while I hate Venezuela and it's, I don't hate Venezuela or the Venezuelans. While I hate Maduro, who is a dictator, who is a beyond, a socialist corruption machine, there's no way in hell the United States should be involved in this fight. I don't care if he's the worst guy on earth. That's my situation in all of these countries. I'm sorry. I can have empathy for you. I can have sympathy for your plight, Venezuelans, but it's your job to rise up against it, not mine. It's absolutely not my problem. The only time it becomes my problem is if there's NGOs shipping hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans that still believe in socialism into the United States under my nose. That's a problem. My problem does not lie in whether or not there's drugs being shipped around. And I'm sorry, Venezuela, I'm expected to believe that all the fentanyl coming in is Venezuelan, not from China, and not being made here in various ways, shapes, and forms. Bullshit, number one. But also, I'm sorry, if you are legalized and you have a legalization of trade there, the United States does not have the authority to go in and bomb the shit out of your boats in foreign waters and close down your airspace. That is 100% an act of war. It absolutely is wrong. And yes, Trump should be brought up on war crimes for assassinating individuals. We already have evidence of it. People that have no evidence of being involved in the drug trade. They're saying, oh, well, 3/4 of the boats that we bombed, this is coming from Hegseth, 3/4 of the boats we bombed are carrying drugs. Okay, I don't care. Number one, not my problem. And number two, that means that 1/4 of the people you're blowing up are completely innocent. No trials, executed on behalf of the American citizens by a government in which we have no say over. I'm not okay with individuals being assassinated, essentially terrorism attacks, in order to force a change, a regime change operation. I'm sorry, there's no fucking way that I'm okay with that. It's absurd to suggest that this premise can somehow be acceptable, because you can extend that to virtually any country on earth. Just like the war on terror. The war on terror gave us this blank check to go after all these different nations that happen to have quote unquote terrorists in them, to the point where we're saying Iran and its military. Oh, Iran's military are terrorists. Okay, great. So we can just bomb the shit out of them willy-nilly without a declaration of war. Great. You can see how this is a problem. This is the slipperiest of slopes. If you declare that anything that's illegal and we don't accept it from our government, let alone the people, that our government in its current state, which changes every 4 fucking years, in our current state, our government finds offensive that another country's doing in their own territory, that we're going to go over, bomb the shit out of them, and assassinate individual citizens who are completely innocent. That's not okay. There's no world in which that's okay. All right. That's it. I got to go, guys. Thank you. Sorry for the short episode. I have no time today. All right. Remember, WokeWordWars.com. Also, remember to subscribe. We've got fantastic shows here every day of the week on the Lions of Liberty Network. And of course, we've got bonus stuff over on our Patreon. Sorry, not this week for me, though, because I have, just, like I said, I'm just out of town. I'm flying in an hour and a half. But usually we've got lots of bonus content over there at patreon.com/Lions of Liberty or lionsofliberty.locals.com. Okay, thanks, guys. From me, Brian McWilliams from the Lions of Liberty Network, and from Mean Age Daydream, keep those electric guys on me, babe. Keep the ray gun to my head. All right, later.